Are you tired of the soul-crushing uncertainty, of lying awake at night wondering if his feelings are real or just for the moment? If you've ever felt that deep, spiritual ache of not knowing where you truly stand with a man, then listen closely. After 3 decades of guiding couples through the labyrinth of love, I've discovered a profound truth, rooted in the timeless wisdom of Carl Jung. There isn't just a sign, there is a single, specific question that a man can only ask when his very soul is beginning to fall in love with you. I'm not talking about decoding the frequency of his texts or waiting for those 3 magic words. I'm referring to a question so charged with psychological meaning that you will never again confuse casual interest with authentic, life-altering love. But here is the tragedy. Most women, and you may be one of them, have heard this question before. You've heard it, answered politely, and moved on, completely oblivious to the fact that in that moment, you were being given a direct glimpse into his heart as his mind began rewiring itself for a future with you. You dismissed it as small talk, as simple conversation filler, and in doing so, you may have unknowingly closed the door to the very connection you've been praying for. Today we change that. We will unlock this powerful secret. But before we dive in, I have a small request. A staggering number of people who gain life-changing insights from this channel aren't actually subscribed. If you are ready for this kind of clarity, take a single moment to press the subscribe button and hit the bell, ensuring you don't miss the wisdom that could define your future. Go ahead and also give this video a like to help this message find others who need to hear it. And I'm truly curious to see just how far the powerful teachings of Carl Jung can reach. So do me a favor and comment below with the city or country you're watching from. Now prepare yourself, because we are about to reveal the truth that has been hiding in plain sight. You see, when a man is only physically attracted to you, his brain operates in what I call present mode. The neurological focus is on immediate reward, dinner tonight, weekend plans, physical intimacy. It's about the here and now, nothing more. But when a man starts to fall in love, there's a shift, a very real and measurable change in his brain function. His prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for long-term planning, decision-making, and imagining future scenarios, starts to light up differently. This is what I call future emotional projection. It's the point where his mind can no longer simply enjoy the moment for what it is. It has to start imagining where the two of you could go together. Not just next week, not just next month, but years into the future. And that projection doesn't happen in silence. It manifests through very specific, very intentional questions. These questions aren't about filling awkward silences or following social scripts. They are the male brain's way, often unconsciously, of gathering the information it needs to build what psychologists call relational cognitive maps. Think of it as his internal GPS for love. He's trying to map out not just where you are now, but where you could be together, mapping the emotional terrain of a shared future. And this is where the tragedy occurs. If you don't recognize these questions for what they are, you run the risk of missing the clearest sign that he is already imagining you in his life long term. You might answer vaguely, change the subject, or give a generic response that makes him feel like you're not on the same page. And in that moment, the bridge he was trying to build toward a deeper commitment weakens. So I want to make you a promise. In this conversation, I'm going to reveal 3 key questions that no man asks by chance. Questions that, when they come from the right place, are proof that his emotional world is already shifting to include you. These are not casual curiosities. They are not lines from a dating manual. They are deeply revealing windows into his mind and heart. By the time we're done, you'll know exactly how to spot them, exactly what they mean, and exactly how to respond in a way that strengthens that emotional bridge instead of breaking it. Because when you understand the psychological weight behind these moments, you stop guessing where you stand and start seeing the truth that was always there. And it all starts with knowing what that first question really is. This is where we get into the part that almost no one talks about. The real neuroscience behind why a man in love behaves differently from a man who is simply attracted to you. Because if you understand what's happening in his brain, you'll stop taking certain behaviors at face value and start seeing the deeper underlying pattern. When a man feels purely physical attraction, his brain operates on what I call instant gratification. Thinking. The focus is narrow. What feels good right now? What's exciting in the next few hours? The regions that light up most intensely are linked to the brain's reward system. Dopamine spikes. The limbic system is activated. The amygdala seeks pleasure and novelty. It's a short-term circuit. His thinking is in the present. He's imagining tonight's date, this weekend's plans, maybe the next vacation, but that's where it stops. Now, this isn't a bad thing. It's simply how the male brain is, wired in the early stages of attraction. But here's the key. It's not yet love. In this mode, his prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for higher-order thinking, planning, and imagining long-term scenarios, remains relatively quiet. He isn't building anything in his mind beyond the immediate moment. It's like having a sports car stuck in first gear. Fun, fast, exciting, but not designed for the long haul. Then something happens. He starts to feel more than just desire. He starts to care about more than just the next encounter. And this is where the real neurological shift begins. The prefrontal cortex turns on, not just slightly, but in a sustained and measurable way. Now he's no longer just thinking about the pleasure of the present. He's engaging in what I call future emotional projection. This is the moment when his brain starts to weave you into scenarios that extend far beyond the here and now. He's imagining you next month, next year, even 5 years from now. He's asking himself, consciously or unconsciously, could we build something together? Would our lives fit? Could this work long term? Think of it as the difference between browsing a store for something fun to wear tonight versus being in a furniture store thinking about what would fit in a home you plan to share. One is about impulse, the other is about investment. In this love mode, his brain starts to create what psychologists call relational cognitive maps. He's gathering details, your values, your ambitions, your routines, your lifestyle, not for triviality, but because he's building an internal model of what a life with you would actually be like. This is not a casual process. It's a profound cognitive shift that alters the questions he asks, the way he listens, and the weight he places on your answers. And here's the fascinating part. He might not even be aware that this is happening. The neurological wiring is doing it in the background like an app running silently on your phone, gathering information and making calculations about compatibility and future potential. So when you notice his questions start to shift away from "What are you doing tonight?" to "Where do you see yourself in a few years?" that's your sign. The male brain has shifted out of instant gratification mode and into shared future mode. And from this point on, everything he asks you is part of that deeper map he's building, even if it sounds casual on the surface. That's why the next part is so important, because I'm going to show you the first question that reveals this shift, and why if you miss it, you could miss the clearest sign that he's already falling in love. In psychology, we have a term for what the male brain is doing once it shifts from attraction of the moment to "I'm imagining a future with her." We call it a relational cognitive map. Think of it as the blueprint his mind creates about how a relationship with you could actually work in real life. It's not just feelings. It's a structured mental model built from the details he learns about you, and it becomes the internal reference point for every decision he makes about where this relationship could go. Here's how it works. When a man is only physically attracted, he's not building a map. He's living in snapshots: tonight's dinner, next weekend's plans, maybe a vacation if he's feeling generous. But when his emotional investment kicks in, the brain needs more than snapshots. It needs a storyline. And to create that storyline, it starts gathering data. That's where these seemingly innocent questions come in. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you feel for me? Have you eaten? How was your day? These aren't filler lines. They are coordinates. Every answer you give feeds his map, helping him see if your future vision aligns with his, if your emotional language matches his, if your rhythms and values can coexist. Now this is where most women miss it. They hear these questions and treat them like small talk. They answer on autopilot, half listening, half thinking about something else, because they don't realize these are not casual curiosities. In his brain, they are moments of deep compatibility assessment. They are part of an unconscious evaluation process where he's deciding, can I trust her with my heart? Can I build a life with her? Imagine you're in a job interview, and the interviewer says, tell me about yourself. Sure, it sounds basic, but you know the weight behind it. You choose your words carefully because you understand the decision being made. Exactly. That's how these moments work for him, except the job here is to be his partner for the next decade or more. If you miss the weight of these questions, you risk sending the wrong signal. A vague, non-committal answer might make him think you're not aligned. An evasive answer might make him feel unsafe to continue opening up. And because this mapping process happens largely below the level of consciousness, he won't always articulate why he's pulling away. He'll just feel the connection weaken and move on. On the other hand, if you recognize what's really happening, these moments become opportunities. Every answer you give can either strengthen that emotional blueprint or make him question it. And no, this doesn't mean saying what he wants to hear. It means responding with authenticity and presence. Because a strong relational map isn't built on fantasy, it's built on truth. So, next time a man you care about asks you a question that feels deeper than the moment, pause. Look past the words and ask yourself, is he just making conversation? Or is he quietly mapping out if we could be each other's future? Because once you start hearing these questions for what they really are, you'll never mistake them for small talk again. And that awareness can change everything about how you connect from that point forward. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? On paper, it sounds like something you'd hear in a job interview. In real life, most women treat it the same way. They give a safe, polite answer and move on. But here's the truth. When a man who is falling in love asks you this question, it's not small talk. It's one of the clearest signs that his brain has switched to shared future mapping. Remember, when a man is only physically interested, his thinking stays in present mode. Tonight's plans, next weekend's getaway, maybe a vacation if he feels like it, but never beyond that. Why? Because emotionally unavailable men live in the now. Their brain doesn't activate the prefrontal cortex for long-term scenarios with you. They don't need to know your 5-year plan because they don't plan on being there for it. But when a man is emotionally invested, he can't help but project forward. His prefrontal cortex is fully online, running future emotional projection in the background. He's starting to imagine what life with you might look like, not just now, but years down the road. And to do that, he needs data, your goals, your values, your direction. This is where the concept of emotional insurance comes in. Think about it. Before someone invests a large sum of money, they assess the risk. Before a man invests his deepest emotions, he does the same thing, whether he's conscious of it or not. This question is his way of making sure that the vision he's building in his mind aligns with the vision you're building for your own life. He's asking himself, are we heading in the same direction? Can I continue to open my heart? If we're on completely different paths, I might have to protect myself now before it hurts later. The key thing to understand is that this is not a casual, I'm curious moment. It's a compatibility checkpoint. A man can casually date for years without ever asking a woman about her future, because for him, the future with her doesn't exist in his mind. That's why emotionally unavailable men won't touch this topic. They'll talk about fun plans, exciting experiences, and shared moments, but never shared years. So when he asks where you see yourself in 5 years, he's revealing something vulnerable. He's telling you, without saying it, that he's already placing you somewhere in his imagined future. He's testing to see if the mental picture he's building could realistically include you. And this is where women sometimes miss the moment. They give vague answers like, I'm just taking it day by day, or we'll see what happens. I understand why. Maybe you don't want to scare him off. Maybe you're afraid of locking yourself into something too soon. But to him, vague answers can signal misalignment. It's not about whether your goals are identical. It's about showing that you have vision, direction, and the ability to think long-term, just like he is. When you respond with authenticity, sharing your real hopes, ambitions, and even your uncertainties, you're not just filling the silence, you're giving him the raw material he needs to keep building that shared map. You're saying, I'm capable of thinking about the future too. and I'm open to exploring if our paths fit. So, the next time you hear that question from a man you care about, stop, take a deep breath, and recognize what's really happening. Because in that moment, he's not just making conversation, he's offering you a place in his future and asking if you can see yourself there too. When a man you care about asks, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" you have to understand that you're at a crossroads. The way you answer can either deepen the emotional bond or quietly cause it to fade. And the number one mistake I see women make in my practice is giving vague or evasive answers. I get it. You don't want to seem rigid. You don't want to scare him off. Maybe you've been hurt before, and you've trained yourself to play it cool and keep things light. But here's the problem. When a man is in future emotional projection mode, a vague answer doesn't feel cool to him. It feels like a closed door. Remember, his prefrontal cortex is fired up. He's building a relational cognitive map in his head. He's trying to place you inside a storyline that extends years ahead. If you respond with, "I don't know, I just go with the flow," he has nothing to work with. You're giving him a blank page when he's trying to write a chapter, and that lack of material makes him hesitate to continue investing emotionally. This isn't about locking yourself into a rigid timeline. It's about showing that you have direction, values, and the capacity to think long-term. Because for him, that's not just attractive, it's essential. It validates the mental picture he's already forming of you as a partner, not just a date. So, how do you respond? With authentic clarity. That means you share your real goals, your honest dreams, and the values that drive you. Maybe you tell him, "In 5 years, I want to be running my own business, traveling twice a year, and building a home I love." Or, "I'm not sure of the exact picture yet, but I know I want a life that feels stable, meaningful, and full of experiences I can share with someone I love." Notice what's happening in those answers. You're not giving him a pre-packaged answer to please him. You're inviting him into your vision. You're painting enough detail so he can see if your map and his map could align. That's what he's unconsciously looking for. Confirmation that you're someone he can grow with. And here's the part most women overlook. Honesty about uncertainty is still better than vagueness. If you genuinely aren't sure about parts of your future, say that, but balance it with what you do know. For example, "Some details are still unfolding for me, but I know I want a relationship built on trust and shared adventures. I want to keep growing personally and professionally, and I want my partner to be a part of that journey." That's real, that's usable, that validates his emotional projection without pretending you have every step figured out. Because what he's really listening for isn't the perfect answer. It's evidence that you're playing the same game he is. Long-term, intentional, and with a vision in mind. If you meet his question with presence and authenticity, you're essentially saying, "Yes, I think in years too, not just weekends. I also care about where this could go." And that is emotional oxygen for a man falling in love. So the next time you hear that question, resist the urge to deflect. Take a deep breath. Speak from your truth. Because in that moment, your clarity doesn't just answer his question. It tells him without a shadow of a doubt that you belong in the future he's already imagining. "What do you feel for me?" On the surface, it sounds like a simple question. But if you understand male psychology, you know it's anything but simple. When a man asks you this directly, he is doing something that most men have been trained since childhood not to do: lower his emotional armor. From a young age, boys are told in 100 subtle ways, "Don't cry, toughen up, don't be sensitive." They learn that showing vulnerability is dangerous, that emotions are something to be kept hidden, that strength means maintaining control. Over time, this conditioning hardens into what I call the masculine emotional armor, a set of psychological defenses designed to keep feelings locked away where no one can use them against him. So when he looks you in the eye and asks, "What do you feel for me?" he is consciously taking off that armor. He is putting down his shield and sword, stepping out into the open field and giving you a clean shot at his heart. That is not weakness. That is courage of the highest order. Because in that moment, he's risking not just rejection, but the deep emotional sting that comes from being vulnerable with someone who doesn't reciprocate. Why would he do that? Because love, real love, requires emotional security. And this question is his way of seeking it. He's not fishing for compliments. He's not looking for an ego stroke. He's trying to find solid ground in a territory that feels terrifying to him. The closer a man gets to genuine love, the more he realizes he has something to lose. And the moment he realizes that, fear enters the picture. Fear of being the only one feeling this way. Fear of opening up further without knowing that you're there too. This question is his safety check. It's his way of saying, if you're feeling something real, I can keep going. I can open up more, I can give more of myself without holding back. Without that reassurance, even a strong man will instinctively pull part of his heart back behind the armor. I've seen it time and time again in my practice. Men who would rather take a physical hit than expose their heart to the wrong person. But when he's falling in love, he can't help it. He needs to know where he stands, and asking you directly is the most honest and direct way to get there. And here's the part that most women don't realize. An emotionally immature or weak man will never ask this question. He'll avoid it at all costs because he can't handle the possibility of hearing an answer he doesn't like. Only an emotionally mature and secure man can stand in that moment and accept whatever truth you give him. That is strength. So when you hear him ask, "What do you feel for me?" don't underestimate what's happening in that moment. He is offering you his trust. He is inviting you into a deeper, more intimate layer of the relationship. How you respond will either build that trust or make him retreat, because for him, this is not a casual inquiry. It's an inflection point. And if you respond with the same authenticity he's showing you, you're not just giving him validation, you're giving him the emotional security he needs to keep building a love that lasts. When a man looks at you and asks, "What do you feel for me?" you need to understand that you're no longer in a casual conversation. You're in the middle of a moment that will shape the trajectory of the relationship. How you respond will either deepen his trust and connection or silently push him back behind his emotional armor. The biggest mistake women make here is minimizing or dodging the question, saying things like, "Oh, you know how I feel," or "Let's not get too serious," or giving a vague, "I like you." To you, that might feel like protecting yourself, keeping things light or avoiding pressure, but to him, it feels like a door closing. Remember, when a man asks this, he is in a state of maximum vulnerability. His masculine emotional armor is off. He is risking rejection, risking disappointment, risking the possibility that he's the only one feeling this depth. And if you respond in a way that glosses over the moment, you are telling him, intentionally or not, that his risk wasn't worth it. So what is the right way to respond? Name your real feelings. If you love him, say it. If you feel deeply connected, tell him. If you are falling in love but you're not all the way there yet, say, "I'm in the process of falling in love with you. Every day, I feel it more." Emotional honesty doesn't have to mean you're at the exact same level as him. It means you're telling the truth about where you really are. And here's the key. Even if you're not sure yet, uncertainty is better than pretense. You can say, "I don't have the full answer yet, but I know that I care about you. I know I feel something real, and I want to see where this grows." That may sound simple, but to a man who is emotionally invested, that is oxygen. You have given him enough truth to keep opening up. This is where a lot of people go wrong. They think the goal is to give the right answer, the one they think the other person wants to hear. But an emotionally mature man values truth over perfection. He would rather know exactly where he stands than live in a fantasy built on diplomacy. A real answer, whether it's certainty, growing feelings, or honest uncertainty, gives him something he can trust. Because for him, this isn't just about validation in the moment. It's about building emotional security moving forward. If he sees that you can meet his vulnerability with your own, he learns that it's safe to keep bringing you his heart. This is how deep intimacy grows, not from scripted words, but from two people standing in the truth together. So the next time a man you care about asks, "What do you feel for me?" stop, look him in the eye, and answer from your real center, not from fear or performance, because that's what keeps the emotional bridge between you strong. And once that bridge is built on honesty, it can carry the weight of everything you build together in the future. Have you eaten? Did you get home okay? How was your day? To some people, this sounds like routine politeness, automatic phrases anyone might say. But when you understand male psychology, you see them for what they really are: persistent emotional care. And that is one of the clearest signs that love is quietly taking root. Here's why this matters so much. The male brain is naturally more compartmentalized than the female brain. Men can mentally separate different parts of their lives into distinct drawers: work in one, friendships in another, family in another, and so on. They can focus on one area without being constantly interrupted by thoughts of the others. That's why, when a man consistently steps out of those compartments to check on you while he's at work, at the gym, watching a game with friends, it's not random. It means you have created a permanent space in his mental landscape, one that stays active no matter what drawer he's in. You have crossed over from someone he sees when the circumstances align to someone whose well-being is part of his daily thought process. And the key word here is consistent. Anyone can ask how you are from time to time. But when he does it every day in small, constant ways, when he wants to know if you've eaten, if you got home safely, if your meeting went well, that's a pattern. Patterns reveal emotional investment. It's his way of staying connected to you, even when life keeps you physically apart. Now let's be clear, there's a difference between genuine care and controlling behavior. The difference lies in the tone, the intention, and the trust. A controlling man asks these questions from a place of insecurity. He needs to monitor you, check up on you, manage your movements. The underlying feeling is about possession, not love. A man who is falling in love asks from a place of protection and connection. He's not keeping tabs. He's maintaining closeness. He's expressing that your safety and comfort matter to him, that your daily experiences are important enough for him to pause what he's doing and ask. Think of these questions as emotional anchors. They tether you together in small but meaningful ways. When he asks if you've eaten, he's expressing that your health matters to him, even in the smallest detail. When he asks if you got home okay, he's saying that he can't fully relax until he knows you're safe. When he asks how your day was, he's inviting you to let him into your inner world so he can share your highs and lows, even if he wasn't there to experience them. Here's the thing. Many women underestimate these moments because they're not grand gestures. They're not flowers, candlelight dinners, or dramatic declarations. But in decades of working with couples, I can tell you that these small, consistent acts of care are what make relationships last. They are proof that his feelings for you are woven into the fabric of his daily life. So the next time you get one of these questions, don't dismiss it as nothing. Recognize it for what it is, his way of saying, I care about you even when we're apart. And if you want that bond to grow, meet his care with your own. Ask him how he is. Let him know that his well-being is on your mind too, because love isn't built in the big moments. It's built in the quiet, consistent ones, day after day. Do you want to meet my family? It sounds like a polite invitation, but in male psychology, this question carries far more weight than most women realize. For many men, introducing someone to their family is not just a social step. It's an emotional milestone. It's a moment where the relationship crosses from private affection to public integration. Here's why it matters so much. The family, for most men, represents their emotional core, the place where they are most themselves, where the masks of work, status, and social performance come off. Whether his family is close-knit or complicated, it's still the arena where he learned his earliest emotional patterns. It's where his deepest vulnerabilities live. So when he asks if you want to meet his family, he's doing several things at once. First, he's opening the door to his inner world. This isn't just about meeting parents or siblings. It's about letting you see him in a context where he can't completely control the impression. You will see the dynamics, the history, the quirks, and the truths that shaped him. That requires trust. Second, he's signaling permanence. Men don't casually bring someone home if they think it's temporary. Family introductions are for people he envisions sticking around. You could casually date someone for years and never meet their family because in his mind, that boundary remains closed unless there's real long-term potential. Third, whether he admits it or not, He's seeking family validation. Even the most independent man often carries a quiet desire for the people he values most to approve of his choice. He wants them to like you, to see why you matter to him, to confirm, consciously or unconsciously, that he's making a good decision with his heart. And this is where you see the contrast with casual relationships. A man who is just in it for fun will keep his romantic life in a separate compartment from his family life. Those two worlds will not touch. There is no integration because there is no vision of a shared future. The woman might be important in the present, but she's not part of the long-term map. But a man in love wants coherence in his life. He wants the emotional satisfaction of having his partner and his family in the same space, sharing the same table, becoming part of the same network of relationships. It's not just about you meeting them. It's about weaving you into the fabric of his life. That's why this question is not a throwaway. It's a quiet declaration of intent. He might not be saying, "I love you," in that exact moment. But what he is communicating is, "I see you as someone who belongs in my most important circle." So when a man you're dating asks if you want to meet his family, recognize it for the leap that it is. This isn't just logistics. It's vulnerability, trust, and long-term thinking all wrapped into one. And how you respond matters. If you're ready to step into that space, your yes tells him that you're willing to integrate your lives in a deeper way. Because once a man invites you into his family world, you're no longer just a part of his present. You have entered the realm of his future. And in love, that is one of the most significant invitations you will ever receive. As we step back, the pattern becomes crystal clear, doesn't it? The questions we've uncovered: where do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you feel for me? The simple, "Have you eaten?" are not random acts of conversation. They are sacred invitations from a man's soul. Each one is a doorway, a test, a subconscious plea from his heart asking, "Can I trust you with my future?" You now possess the spiritual key, the Jungian lens to see beyond the words and into the truth of his intentions. You will never have to guess again. This is the moment where everything changes for you. The choice is no longer his to make. It is yours. Will you continue to respond from the fear of past hurts, offering a superficial answer that keeps you safe but alone? Or will you rise to meet his vulnerability with your own authentic courage, building a bridge to the lasting love you deserve? Remember, the love that transforms your life doesn't arrive like a lightning strike. It arrives in these quiet questions, this consistent care, this slow and sacred integration of two souls. If this video has awakened something within you, if you feel more empowered and confident in this very moment, then please help this wisdom reach others by hitting the like button. And if you are ready to continue on this journey of profound self-discovery, make sure you subscribe. An incredible number of you who find value here are not yet part of our community, and I don't want you to miss what's coming next. In our next video, we will explore the silent behavior that speaks louder than any question ever could. To anchor what you've learned today, let me know one thing in the comments below. Which of these questions resonated with your spirit the most? Thank you for walking this path with me. You now hold the map. The only question left is if you are brave enough to follow it.